God ye good morrow, gentlemen.
God ye good den, fair gentlewoman.
Is it good den?
'Tis no less, I tell ye, for the body hand of the dial is now upon the prick of noon.
Out upon you! What a man are you!
So this is a little bit of a sexual innuendo, right? Mercutio's just really giving the nurse a hard time here.
One gentlewoman that God hath made for himself to mar.
By my troth, it is well said. For himself to mar, quoth he. Gentlemen, can any of you tell me where I may find the young Romeo?
I can tell you, but young Romeo will be older when you have found him than he was when you sought him. I am the youngest of that name, for fault of the worse.
You say well.
Yea, is the worst well? Very well took, i' faith. Wisely, wisely.
If you be he, sir, I desire some confidence with you.
She will indict him to some supper.
What hast thou found?
No hare, sir, unless a hare, sir, in a Lenten pie. That is something stale and whore, ere it be spent.
Okay, so here we see the nurse misspeaks. She says, I desire some confidence with you, meaning, I think what she means to say is I desire a conference with you, meaning to speak with him. But because she misspeaks, they use a malapropism, which is basically when you intentionally misuse a word. Benvolio says she will indict him to supper. So basically they're making fun of the nurse for misspeaking by also misspeaking, because he's not going to indict him, he's going to invite him. And they're just kind of, again, making fun of the nurse and playing on this whole thing.
Sings.
An old hare whore and an old hare whore is very good meat in Lent. But a hare that is whore is too much for a score when it whores ere it be spent. Romeo, will you come to your father's? We'll to dinner thither.
I will follow you.
Farewell, ancient lady, farewell.
Singing.
So again, still maybe not the nicest way to say goodbye to somebody, calling someone an ancient lady. So we see Romeo kind of picking on this whole thing.
Lady, lady, lady.
Excellent. Mercutio and Benvolio.
Marry, farewell. I pray you, sir, what saucy merchant was this that was so full of his ropery?
A gentleman, nurse, that loves to hear himself talk, and will speak more in a minute than he will stand to in a month.
And to speak anything against me, I'll take him down. And a were lustier than he is, and 20 such jacks, and if I cannot, I'll find those that shall. Scurvy knave. I am none of his flirt gills, I am none of his skeins mates. And thou must stand by, too, and suffer every knave to use me at his pleasure.
Okay, so the nurse is pretty pissed. She says, I can't believe that guy talked to me like that. If he ever does that again, I'll take him down, or I'll find 20 guys who can. So she's now I'll talk, basically, but she says to her servant, Peter, can't believe you let him speak to me that way.
I saw no man use you at his pleasure. If I had, my weapon should quickly have been out, I warrant you. I dare draw as soon as another man, if I see occasion in a good quarrel. And the law is on my side.
Now, afore God, I am so vexed that every part about me quivers. Scurvy knave. Pray you, sir, a word. And as I told you, my young lady bid me inquire you out. What she bade me say I will keep to myself. But first, let me tell ye, if ye should lead her into a fool's paradise, as they say, it were a very gross kind of behaviour, as they say, for the gentlewoman is young, and therefore, if you should deal double with her, truly it were an ill thing to be offered to any gentlewoman, and very weak dealing.
Nurse?
So here we see the nurse basically giving Romeo a warning, right? She says, if you're leading her on, you got to stop, because that's not fair to Juliet. She's young, she's naive, and she doesn't really understand.
Commend me to thy lady and mistress. I protest unto thee.
Good heart and in faith I will tell her as much. Lord, Lord, she will be a joyful woman.
What wilt thou tell her, nurse? Thou dost not mark me.
I will tell her, sir, that you do protest, which, as I take it, is a gentlemanlike offer.
Okay, so the nurse didn't even let Romeo finish his promise that he wasn't going to hurt her. And he's like, what are you going to tell her? I didn't even say anything yet. And she says, well, you protested, so I guess that's good enough. That means you're a gentleman. So here we see they're going to come up with a plan. And this plan is very specific.
Bid her devise some means to come to shrift this afternoon, and there she shall at Friar Lawrence's cell be shrived and married. Here is for thy pains.
No, truly, sir, not a penny.
Go to, I say you shall.
This afternoon, sir. Well, she shall be there.
Okay, so this afternoon now, the plan is for Juliet to go to Friar Lawrence's cell to confession, and instead of confession, what she will have is a marriage with Romeo. So they just met last night, they just exchanged their vows of love, they just planned their marriage, and it's happening this afternoon on day 2.
And stay, good nurse, behind the abbey wall. Within this hour, my man shall be with thee, and bring thee cords made like a tackled stair, which to the high top gallant of my joy must be my convoy in the secret night. Farewell. Be trusty, and I'll quit thy pains. Farewell. Commend me to thy mistress.
Okay, part 2 of the plan is Romeo's going to send his servant to the nurse with a rope ladder, right? With these cords made like a tackled stair. And that's going to bring him to his joy tonight, which means he's going to use the rope ladder to climb up to Juliet's window so they can have their wedding night. So they're not planning on telling anyone they're married just yet. It's all going to be done in secret, which means still the only people that will know are Romeo, Juliet, the nurse, and the friar. And now Romeo's servant might know that something's up because of the ladder, but we don't necessarily know the details yet.
Now God in heaven bless thee. Hark you, sir.
What sayest thou, my dear nurse?
Is your man secret? Did you ne'er hear say, two may keep counsel, putting one away?
I warrant thee, my man's as true as steel.
Well, sir, my mistress is the sweetest lady. Lord, Lord, when 'twas a little prating thing. Oh, there's a nobleman in town, one Paris, that would fain lay knife aboard, but she, good soul, had as lief see a toad, a very toad as see him. I anger her sometimes and tell her that Paris is the proper man. But I'll warrant you, when I say so, she looks as pale as any clout in the versal world. Doth not Rosemary and Romeo both begin with a letter?
Ay, nurse, what of that? Both with an R?
Ah, mocker, what's the dog's name? R is for the dog. No, I know it begins with some other letter. And she hath the prettiest sententious of it, of you and Rosemary, that it would do you good to hear it.
Commend me to thy lady.
Aye, 1,000 times.
Exit Romeo.
Peter,
Anon?
Peter, take my fan and go before.
Exit.
Okay, and so that's the end of scene 4. So basically the most important part of this whole thing is that they've planned their wedding, and that's going to happen before the end of Act 2. So the only people that know of this are the select few that are kind of part of the plan at this point. And we see just a little bit more character development for all of these people, right? Both the nurse and Mercutio are kind of these characters that won't stop talking. The nurse, though, is a little bit less intelligent than Mercutio. She speaks incorrectly. She says things like pretty sententious when she means sentence, and confidence when she means conference. And so the other people are kind of making fun of her for that. So where we go from here is now the nurse is going to return to Juliet and tell her the plans that she and Romeo just made for her and see if they can pull off this wedding. All right, see you tomorrow.